Have an awesome Monday. I'm super excited. So last week I obviously did not have these. Just life was literally chaotic, and I told y'all that I always like to be like super honest and everything with you guys, because I think that if I'm not honest, then it comes off like fake, or I feel like I can't be or I can't share with y'all like my faith journey if I'm not honest with y'all sometimes. So last week, especially last week, it was really hard mentally. Had nothing to do with like business related things. It was just like, I don't know, some numb spurts of like depression happened, and you're just like, what even is this? Like, what's going on? And so I had to kind of pick myself back up and figure out what to do with it. So I didn't want to sit here and try and talk on here and then I was mentally drained myself. So I was like, okay, there's no way that I can sit here and fake it and like have this smile where I'm just trying to figure out things. So this one today, I feel like a lot of people struggle with depression, if maybe not depression, because if we're being honest, up until like last year, I had never really dealt with like true depression until last year. So I'm kind of new to it. I pray and hope that it's like not an ongoing thing, but even if so, I know that I can I have a purpose for it. So this one's all about, it's called Anchored Through the Deep Waters. And Michael Todd, if y'all don't listen to Michael Todd, he's really, really good. And he did a series called Anchored. And I was listening to them right last night before I went to bed, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And so I just looked up a Bible study called Anchored, and then that's kind of what popped up. I was like, okay, let's just do it. And so this one's all about like depression and obviously finding yourself in dark places. And so it says, I'm not okay. Then it says, first off, I am very proud of you. Oftentimes, depression leaves us isolated and ashamed with no drive to find help. Recognizing the fact that you are struggling is humbling, I'm sure, but that's the perfect position for God to work in your life. Did you know you're not alone? People have been struggling with inward turmoil for centuries. Take a look at David. He was called a man after God's own heart, but on many accounts we see him crying out to God, save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck. I sink in my miry depths, that where there is no foothold. I have come into the deep waters, the floods engulf me. How many times have you went through something and you're like, I literally just can't handle this anymore. I feel like I'm drowning. I don't know what to do. That's how David felt. And it said, how could a man that was in a place of ministry and eventually governmental royalty become so down? Listen carefully. Your position doesn't control your perception. The battlefield of the mind can only be won with God, not things of the world that satisfy your flesh. Many of us had our instability with a front that shows we have it all together. That is asking for self-destruction. Reason why I didn't sit here and try to fake being on these last week, because I know that it would probably just drive me into a deeper, darker place. So I was just not even going to try that. And it says, God is not asking you to look great, but to be great inside and out. Our mental health is the foundation of our future. David called the Lord to, without shame, begging God to save him from the deep waters. Today, I challenge you to be honest about how you're feeling with God. We know that there is a power on the tongue to speak life or death. Speak life over your deep waters of depression, because God, your anchor, hears you. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Just hold on. Not one person can say I have it all together while trusting God, for the foundation of our salvation is faith and trust in his sufficiency, not our own. So I actually had a realization this week, and maybe this could be y'all too. When I'm on this faith journey, and when I'm doing good in my business, and when I'm doing good in my relationships, and when I'm just doing good financially and all these things, I start having this like thought of, okay, I can handle it. I'm good. And so then the things that I start doing to pour into myself, I start slowing down. I think that almost all of us do that. When we're good, we're good. When we're bad, we're bad. And so we depend on God during the hard times, but you don't necessarily depend on him for the good, or you don't thank him for the good times. And I caught myself doing that. And I'll read this scripture from the Bible that I was reading this morning. And if y'all have ever felt drained, I told y'all this a couple weeks ago, but I really tried getting back in the habit of picking up my Bible instead of just doing a devotional, and the spiritual like energy that you get from reading your Bible, I can't explain it. I can't sit here and tell you about it, because if I were to try to explain it, I would butcher it. But then the energy you get from it is totally different from if you were just to listen to a sermon, or if you were just to read a devotional, or listen to an audiobook. And I love all those things. I do those things daily, but reading my Bible gives me so much like spiritual energy for the day. I can't even explain it. So go and do that. There's a lot of guides on like Google, and I sent one out like a couple months ago of a guide like how to read your Bible if you don't know how to. So you can always look up that if it overwhelms you to look at the Bible. But this one was talking about bringing dry bones to life, and it was talking about how you idolize different things. And so when you do idolize different things instead of God, God's going to bring you back to the source, and it might be destructive, and he might come like crumbling down into your world, like saying, you know what, since you don't honor me and you honor this before this, I'm going to take this away so you can only depend on me. And I found that this week, I thought that I was idolizing him, but instead I was idolizing the things that I wanted. And so it was kind of like I was like manipulating him in a way. And so I was like, God, if you do this for me, I'll love you. Or if you do this for me, if you just show me that you're blessing me, then I will thank you. I will show people to you. And sometimes that's not how it works. And faith is always like, faith and hope are the things that are unseen. You just have to bank on it, and you have to trust God that he's going to pursue whatever it is that he wants you to pursue. And so this one, it says, Lord declares the sovereign Lord, when I show myself holy through you before their eyes, for I will take you out of the nations. I will gather you from all the countries and bring you back into your own land. I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you will be clean. I will cleanse you from all your impurities and from all your idols. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove you from your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh, and I will put my spirit in you and move you to follow my decrees and be careful to keep my laws. So what I personally got out of this was the reason, or it might be some of the reason why I'm going through like this spout of like, I don't want to label it depression because I just hate that word and I just hate the way it makes me feel. But during this time, I realized that he's stripping me clean and stripping me away from all the things that I idolized or put before him. Money, security, and like things like furniture and like all the nice things I wanted to buy, vacations, like all of these different things, recognition, social media, this business. Like I even put this business before him sometimes because this business is my livelihood. And then I forget, I'm like, wait, God's my livelihood. He provides things through this business. Not this business doesn't provide me with things. God provides it. And so the ultimate source is him. And so I just kind of had to get really recognized with that. And that's kind of what it hit me this morning. I was like, oh dang, I've been idolizing all these different things, and maybe that's where this darkness is coming from. Like he told me, if we idolize all these different things, they're never going to fill voids. They're never going to fill voids in your heart that you feel for so long. And so maybe some of you have been filling a void for so long. You've been filling a void for a year or 2 months or 2 weeks or the past couple of months, and you just can't figure it out. You're like, why do I keep going through all these things? Why am I so sad? Why do I feel this? Why do I feel this way? Why am I so angry? Why am I this? I bet you, if I had to guess, and this is like something that just happened this morning where it was an epiphany, and y'all know that like I've been on my faith journey for 6 years now. So it's not like I just started yesterday. It's like, well, Macy, you should know this by now. You teach this, you practice this, you should know this by now. So it's funny that I had a wake up call yesterday or this morning, and I was just like, oh, I bet you it's because you guys are putting things before God, even if you don't recognize it. Like I said, I thought I was good in my faith. I literally just got done telling someone last week on a Zoom, I was like, I'm good. I'm strong in my faith. I struggle sometimes, but I trust God more than anything. And then here we are a week later talking about the opposite thing, because I realized that I was putting things before him. And I bet you you're putting things before him, even if you don't see it. You're putting sleep, you're putting your work, you're putting your kids, you're putting your husband, you're putting food, you're putting, money, you're putting material things, shopping, you're putting whatever it is before him. And that's something that's so powerful, because I think a lot of us need to be reminded of that. And you probably need to have a check within yourself. And I'm really sorry if you can hear my dogs, but you probably need to do a check within yourself and say, okay, when I say that I trust God with this, do I actually trust God with this, or do I already go ahead and take action before I even pray about it? Before I wake up in the morning, or when I wake up in the morning, do I immediately get to work, or do I pray about my business before I even get to work? Or do I pray before I get on a Zoom because I want to soak up all the energy from that Zoom? Or do I instantly just go into it drained because my husband or my family pissed me off before then, and so I'm just letting that control my mind? So you kind of have to ask yourself these questions, and they're hard questions. I was reading something yesterday, and I spent like a couple hours in just self-development and spiritual development, and I had to ask myself really hard questions, and they weren't easy. And it had to do with just like life. It had to do with like money. It had to do with business. It had to do with all these things. And I was like, wow, I've idolized these things for so long that I've claimed that I've idolized God before all these things. But in fact, like if you look at it, and if someone outsider looking in, they would not realize that I loved God as much as I claim that I do. And so I was just like, wow, you got to get your crap together. So it was kind of just like a wake up call. And where is it at? There was this thing that I was reading this morning that I said, oh, it's called the Valley of Dry Bones. And it said that God, no matter what, he's going to show you, like, ultimately he can bring dry bones that are like completely dry. So obviously this might be a little bit morbid, but I apologize. So like, obviously, you know, when someone passes away and then like their bones, like for so many times it just becomes bones, he can bring those dry bones that literally have no faith, no spiritual blessings with them, no like energy, and bring them to life and bring them back to faith. And so if you're someone that's so far away from God, and if you're someone that's so deep into your depression, or if you're someone that feels so disconnected, he can bring you back even. So it just takes and requires action. So it's just like in this business, you can, your work can be a blessing. Like it can be blessed. Even if you haven't worked consistently in 5 years, then you decided to work today, God can bless that work, but he has to get you moving first. So you have to make that ultimate decision whether you want to move or not. So if you're in this spiritual rut, or if you feel like you are just in this place where you're just like, I just don't understand, I don't get it, I don't understand why I'm still in this place, 5 months later, 3 months later, I'm still stuck, chances are you are just not relying on him for the things. You're relying on all these different circumstances. You're relying on 6 different people that you message trying to get confirmation from them that it's going to be okay. You're relying on the books that you're reading. Y'all have ordered 5, 6 books in the last 2 weeks. And then I realized, I was like, wow, these books are good, but what's the ultimate source? And then I picked up my Bible, and it was something that I really needed to hear today. So I know that me personally, I'm going to conquer this probably easier than if I would have like a year ago, just because my faith's always progressing. But just because I leave these periods, just because I sit here and talk about faith, does not mean it's always easy for me. So when I'm struggling or going through something, I always just want to be really raw and real and say, you know, it's not always easy, but guess what? I'm going to have a victory, and I know that I am. And when I have that victory, it might give y'all hope, and it might give you like inspiration to be like, okay, if she got through this, I can get through this, because I've been through the dark before, and I've been through a valley before. And it was saying on the Zoom, not the Zoom, but the YouTube video that Michael Todd was doing, he was like, you know, he might call you to deeper water. So if you're in deep water now, you might go into deeper water, but it's because he's prepared you to do that. He's not going to send someone who can't handle it out to the deep waters. He needs you to go so you can save someone else from drowning in that deep water. You can save someone else from who feels like they can't make it through the water, just like David was saying, like he's drowning, the water's up to his neck. Well, guess what? You've already been in that spot. You've already been in that tough place. So you are able to handle it. So the next time someone you see is drowning, you can be like, hey, no worries, I've got you. Bring those dry bones back to life, okay? And so that's something that I want you to encourage yourself with, is to never think of what you're going through as something that's going to kill you. It's only going to make you stronger. The saying, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger, is so true. It's so true spiritually. It's so true in just life in general, but just think of it spiritually. Like whatever you're going through right now, it's only going to make you stronger for when the devil tries to attack. We always say when good things are happening in our life, that's when the devil tries to attack the most. How many of you guys, you have something good going on in your life, and then you're instantly panicked by fear because you're like, there's no way it's going to be good this long. There's no way that I can be on this good high and then it like for too long, because we all know that hills come with valleys and valleys come with hills. And so it's just like you start thinking and you start ruining the present moment that you're feeling. And so something else that I learned last night was that the season that you're in, if it feels like it's dark, and if it feels like it's ongoing, and it feels like it's just never going to end, that you were called there for a reason, to be present And you have, like, in order for it to be healthy, you need to feel all your emotions. You can't sit here and time it out and be like, I don't feel this. I don't feel this. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Because just like I read on that thing, you're going to go through self-destruction immediately. So claim what you're going through, feel it, allow yourself to be present, and remember the feeling that you feel now, and write it down. Remind yourself, because in 2 months from now or a month from now, you're going to look back and say, God got me through that. So, whenever something happens in your life, a month from now, 2 years from now, you can look back at this moment and be like, I got through it. Exactly a year ago in June, I went through my 3-month depression stage. And yesterday I finally decided to do something about it and tell, like, all my really close friends that, like, what happened last year. I wasn't open with anybody about that while going through it, but I decided to take action and initiative and tell them this time, like, hey, I kind of started feeling my depression start coming back on. I just want to let you know that this is what I'm going through, and if, like, y'all could just pray over me, I just hope that it isn't this. And so I was really honest with them and really honest with myself, and allowed myself to feel those feelings and not sit here and, like, try to deny it, because I've denied it before and it doesn't help you. So if you're denying your feelings, or if you're like, I'm good, or you feel like you have to be that anchor for everybody else, you're hiding your feelings because you're a mom, you're a wife, and you feel like you have to hold everybody together, that's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. It's not helping anybody, because soon you're going to explode, and then it's going to be even worse, and then you're not going to be healthy for anybody. So allow yourself to feel those feelings and pray over it. And I promise you, opening your Bible is really good. Which one is it? The verses that I'm reading is in Ezekiel, and it's Ezekiel 36:24. That's where I started. And then it says this, and it's like a little passage. It just asks you a question, so maybe you can ask yourself this. But it says, Dear one, I have given you a great responsibility. Through you, my child, through your actions, your words, your attitudes, I will show you my holiness to the world around you. You're the official representative of my great name. How are you doing? And then it says, how well are you representing God's great name to others around you? And I just kind of thought about it, and that's when it hit me this morning, and I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, I say that I'm doing good and I say that I'm representing God's name, but I'm idolizing all these things. And so I think especially just in life in general, like, we get so caught up in making money because we have to support ourselves and support our family, but we don't remember that God's the ultimate provider. He provides the money in the first place. The money is just an object. It doesn't define who you are, doesn't define your life. It's just a source of what can provide you with, like, goods or whatever, but God is the ultimate source. So if you are stressed today, if you are depressed, if you are sad, if you're joyful, whatever feeling you're going through, maybe you're on your tallest mountain yet and you're so excited, y'all, I'm really asking you to just ground yourself and ask yourself, am I idolizing all these things before God? And I could probably say most of us, yes. It's hard because within a world that we have all these material things, we have all these fast going things, we have technology. It's hard sometimes, but I want you to ground yourself today and say, okay, God, I give my life and I give my business, I give my family, I give this to you. And I just want you to release me of all the worries and release me of the responsibility of having to deal with it. And I just pray that you release me of that and allow me to idolize you before anything else, and allow you to be the source and me to thank you for being the source. And so I think that with me learning this today, it's actually really going to help me get through this week, because like I said, last week was really rough, and I woke up today feeling a lot better. So hopefully that helps. I know it's kind of all over the place, but also at the same time, I felt like that was a really big topic. So if you feel like you're someone with dry bones, just know that it's okay, that he can bring you back to life, and that there is hope in that. And that's the best thing that you can have, is hope. Hope is going to carry you through the dark. And I remember a couple weeks ago when we did a Zoom, someone was like, I just feel like I can't find the light at the end of the tunnel. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. The fact that you're still living today, the fact that you are still alive and you woke up on this prayers in this morning, that's a light at the end of this tunnel. Like, you are seeing through what God has told you that you are going to do in this life. And so I just want you to know that, and anything that good happens today, that's why I tell y'all to write down gratitudes all the time. If you are in a spout of depression or sadness or whatever it might be, the best thing that you can do, even if you don't feel like it, is write down gratitudes. And I don't mean I'm grateful for life, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for this. I mean genuinely getting detailed with the little things. I wrote down today, I'm so grateful for the carpet in my apartment, how it goes in between my toes and it makes me feel so warm and fuzzy. Like, that's so lame. I understand that. But in that moment, I had to realize, like, be present in the moment for the little things that I was grateful for. And I wrote a bunch of other ones, but that was just like one representation. I'm thankful for this chair that I'm sitting in because it allows me to blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just like so many little things. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm grateful for the business. I'm grateful for, my family. I'm grateful for my car. I'm grateful for my purse. Like, no, it can be like the littlest things. Like, I wrote down, I'm really grateful for this pen and this piece of paper that I get to write out all my feelings down because it allows me to claim action over my fears and my feelings, and it allows me to feel present in this moment. Like, get freaking detailed, you guys. Be grateful for where you're at. Have hope for where you're going. And I promise you, for someone who feels like they're going through a little dark season right now, I know it's going to get better. It always does. It always, always does. And then you can help someone through their spout of sadness or whatever it is. So if you are the joyful one right now, if you are feeling great, please go give encouragement to someone. Okay. I feel better than I have in the past week. So today when I get off of here, I'm sending people encouragement because I know that if I feel a little bit better, the best way that I can get hope is to give more hope. And so I just hope that helps. Y'all can go ahead